Okay, NXT Stand and Deliver. They're not takeovers anymore, so yeah, you can't call them that. I made the mistake when I started recording this, so I had to do a redo. I hope the glare isn't too bad. It ended about, give or take, 5 minutes ago, so let's kind of get into this. We started off with the kickoff show match, the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, Toxic Attraction of Gigi Dolan and JC Jane against Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, the newly reunited tag team. I have a bit of a beef to start with right after this. They said it was coming up, and then they played like 13 minutes of vignettes before that. Anyway, right off the bat, JC James tried to jump Raquel Gonzalez after the bell. Gonzalez and Dakota Kai hit a hip toss into a double stomp type maneuver. Jane then broke up a pin attempt on a roll-up pin from Kai on Dolan. This was kind of a bog standard tag team. It was a pretty decent bog standard tag team match, at least on the women's side. So at least, you know, there was frequent tagging. There was a lot of good impact maneuvers in. Eventually, Kai hit a scorpion kick on Dolan and then got the tagged in Raquel Gonzalez, and she hit the Chicona bomb for the 3 count and the victory. So were once the inaugural women's tag team champions in NXT for one night are now 2-time NXT women's tag team champions, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Like I said, overall decent enough match. There was a really big botch early on though, where I think they were supposed to be setting up Gonzalez to get the hot tag, but she was not holding the tag rope, so they had to restage the whole thing, and it looked a little clumsy there, and that's probably what held it back a little bit. But overall, it was a pretty enjoyable way to start the show. After that, we move on to the show proper, and we open up with the ladder match for the NXT North American Championship. Carmelo Hayes versus Cameron Grimes versus Solo Sikoa versus Santos Escobar versus Grayson Waller. And only like 3 people got an entrance in this match. So, maybe it was 4. They skipped over Solo Sikoa because they started with the entrances with like 5 minutes to go in the kickoff show, and they were transferring over, but then in between that, they played this stupid vignette for Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. Like, play the vignette first, then do the intros. Just bad production ideas on this show, unfortunately. I'll try to keep this down as much as I can. Early on, it took a while to actually get the ladder in the ring. A couple of times, like, Waller and Escobar tried to get it, and they backed into each other and started smacking each other around. Everyone ganged up on Carmelo Hayes early on. We then had Sanga, who is Waller's bodyguard, basically tried to attacked Solo Sikoa, trying to get a ladder into the ring again. Eventually, the ladders got into the ring, and they began setting them up. At one point, Sanga got involved. He literally tore a ladder apart. Waller hit a cutter off the ladder on Escobar. Escobar hit Sikoa with a sunset bomb that's landed onto another ladder. Trick Williams got involved. At one point, he tried to climb the ladder, and Cameron Grimes got in and tipped him off the ladder and onto everyone who was standing on the outside of the ring. Everyone from Legado de Fantasma intervened. Sanga intervened. They all kind of got this big schmoz on the outside. They began brawling to the outside where there were 2 bridge ladders set up. Grimes got knocked onto that. At this point, Escobar and Waller began fighting on the top of the ladder, and Escobar got Waller down. It was Carmelo Hayes, my mistake. Got Carmelo Hayes down, hit him with the Phantom Driver, but then Grimes hit the running stomp finisher. He has the To the Moon, I guess, and climbed up the ladder to grab the championship and win the North American Championship. So yeah, Cameron Grimes won that. Overall, good match. I think the right guy won in this case. Grimes is someone who has momentum behind him, is a genuine star in NXT. Sorry, my phone went off. He's a genuine star in NXT. I don't think he's quite ready for the main roster yet, but again, he's someone who could carry a championship for a while and help bring some attention to NXT, I think, which would really, really help at this point. Okay, our next match is Tony D'Angelo taking on Tommaso Ciampa in what is being billed as Ciampa's last match in NXT. His contract is apparently expiring. Ciampa, during his entrance, paid tribute to Triple H. He came out with the water bottle. He did the pfft, and he did a couple other poses early on. He hit the Arn Anderson spine buster. Ciampa definitely had a lot of offense early on. At one point, this is where we had a bit of a weird botch happen where Ciampa tried to expose the concrete on the outside of the ring. He couldn't quite get the foam padding all the way up and over. It took him about 3 or 4 tries. D'Angelo got some good offense in. He hit kind of a fisherman into a falcon arrow. He hit another maneuver. I can't think what it was. Another kind of fisherman buster type maneuver. Ciampa countered a crossbody with a big jumping knee. Eventually, D'Angelo, I keep wanting to say Dinero, but that's not it. I'm thinking of the Pope D'Angelo Dinero, so that's where I'm getting crossed up there. D'Angelo pulled out a crowbar, and when Ciampa knocked it out of his hands, the ref got it out of the ring. He low-blowed Ciampa. That's where he hit another maneuver. But Ciampa came back. He hit the Hangman DDT, and then the fairy tale ending on D'Angelo. He locked on the Gargano escape at one point, but D'Angelo got to the ropes. I keep wanting to say Dinero again, sorry. And they got to the outside where D'Angelo caught Ciampa and hit him with a DDT on the exposed concrete. He then went in and hit kind of a running boot to Ciampa's face to get the 3 count and the victory. Overall decent match. Again, in tradition, you go out, losing. You don't go out, if this is Ciampa's last match, it was certainly treated as such. And afterwards, the crowd saluted him, and then, Triple H's music hit, and he came out and, gave him a hug, and that's how that ended. So, again, we got a nice send-off there. It was good to see Triple H back again after everything that's happened, obviously. Okay, so let's move on to our next match, which is the triple threat match for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barthel of Imperium versus the Creed brothers, Julius and Brutus, and MSK, Wesley and Nash Carter, sorry. I have problems telling which Creed brother is which. So I think Julius is the shorter, more muscular one, but I may be wrong on that. Or is that Brutus? Because, I got a bit of them off there. Early on, Carter had a big jumping Zaguri on Julius. Aichner then hit a Gorilla Press backbreaker on Lee. A lot of big high spot tag team action maneuvering in this. Probably the big high point of it was, I believe, Brutus hit a big flying cannonball type maneuver to the outside of the ring. It wasn't the Kevin Owens rolling cannonball into the corner. It was more like when you cannonball into a swimming pool, that type of cannonball, and took out a bunch of people on the outside. It looked like maybe the Creed brothers were going to pull off the victory at that point, but then I believe Aichner and Barthel interfered. They got into the position for their finisher, but then MSK interfered, and MSK hit Barthel with the Hurricanrana into a kind of sit-down powerbomb pin finisher for the 3 count of victory to reclaim the tag team championships. And overall, it was a decent match. Again, a lot of high spots, decent storytelling. I'm kind of disappointed in MSK winning it again. Again, I think we need to start getting something new in NXT again, and we're not getting that, unfortunately. We've now had 2-time women's tag team champions, 2-time tag team champions who beat other 2-time tag team champions. And, this is kind of not turning into something great right now, is it? Okay, our next match is the Fatal 4-Way for the NXT Women's Championship. Mandy Rose putting the championship on the line against Io Shirai, Kaylee Ray, and Cora Jade. Early on, when Mandy Rose was introduced, she had a big platform that was lowered down, and Wade Barrett claimed that it was borrowed from him because that was his old Bad News Barrett platform that he would use. Right off the bat, everyone ganged up on Rose, got her out of the ring. Cora Jade and Mandy Rose brawled on the outside a bit, and they got caught by stereo torpes from Ray and Shirai. Basically, I would say at one point Rose tried to get Cora up for a big delayed suplex. She couldn't get her. When you do the delayed suplex, you're supposed to get someone straight up in the air, and she couldn't do that. She was like this weird angle. She could not straighten everything out, so it did. Again, another botch in this. And then Shirai hit a moonsault to the outside as Jade and Ray were brawling on the outside of the ring. Early on, both Ray and Shirai put their opponents in submission holds. Shirai put Cora Jade in the cloverleaf. Ray put Rose in the guillotine. Jade came back. She had a destroyer pile driver on the apron to Kaylee Ray. Sorry, not Kylie Ray. That's a different one. Shirai then hit Jade with a Tiger Fan kick. At one point, Shirai hit a moonsault on Rose, but then Jade broke that up with a senton. They began brawling again to the outside. Cora Jade hit a double arm DDT, but I believe Shirai broke that up. Shirai went for the moonsault on Jade, but then Mandy Rose hit the running knee on Shirai to cover for the 3 count of the victory. So Mandy Rose is still NXT Women's Champion, and yeah, that's again overall decent match, but again kind of disappointing because one, I love Io Shirai, but she should be on the main roster at this point. Mandy Rose, I think that story is concluded. You had Toxic Attraction lose the take. You need to have them all lose the championships at this point so that they can break apart or move on to the main roster again, so that story can adjust and we can start getting some new lifeblood into these divisions. But yeah, it's just really kind of flat. So overall, like I said, good match, but flat ending. And that leads us into our next match, which was LA Knight facing Walter. I am not calling him Gunther. Early on, Knight tried to get some offense in. He shrugged off a few chops and threw a Walter into the corner. Walter eventually came back. He hit a powerbomb into the ring apron. He locked on a Boston Crab. Knight came back. He had a slingshot shoulder block. He had a big superplex. Walter blocked a BFT and locked on a sleeper. Knight fought back again, but Walter hit him with a lariat that took him off the turnbuckle. Walter then had a big splash and a powerbomb for the 3 count of the victory. Not a terrible match. Definitely it was a cool down match to lead into the main event because we have one more match to go after this. But yeah, it's definitely something that makes Walter look strong if whatever future opponent he's facing, which I'll get to when I get to that. Alright, so our next match is the main event, the NXT Championship match. Dolph Ziggler versus Braun Breaker. Braun came out with a Texas Chainsaw Massacre theme, apparently forgetting that Finn Balor already did that. Ziggler actually wore some throwback trunks. They were more evocative of his early ladies' man Playboy gimmick, where they're supposed to be sort of faux reminiscent of boxer briefs. So yeah. During the introduction, Ziggler slapped Breaker. They tried to do like a sunset flip type maneuver and it didn't. This was another botch. But eventually Breaker began getting some offense in. Bobby Roode interfered, got thrown out, but in the process, it distracted the ref long enough for Ziggler to expose the turnbuckle. And then eventually Breaker hit a big spear. Ziggler kicked out. Ziggler had a couple more maneuvers. Breaker blocked it, blocked a super kick and another spear. Roode interfered again, broke up the pin. Ziggler hit a Famouser and a zigzag, but Breaker kicked out. Breaker eventually hits spear number 3. He goes for his Gorilla Press power slam, but Ziggler raked the eyes, shoved Breaker into the turnbuckle, and hit the super kick for the 3 count of the victory. Dolph Ziggler is still NXT champion. What the fuck is going on? NXT is supposed to be developmental territory. Put the championship on Bray. It was stupid that you took it off to begin with. It's stupider you put it on Dolph Ziggler. Now NXT isn't developmental. Now NXT is the Flunky territory. God. Okay, I've had problems with it. I've had problems, and for every good thing they're doing 14 stupid things that don't make a fucking lick of sense. Ugh. I'm sorry, because this was a good show. This was an enjoyable show for the most part. I had problems with certain victories, but other than that, I liked watching most of these matches, and you go and kill it with this shit. Ugh, I'm sorry for swearing so much. I don't like doing that, but God, this just ticks me off to no end. And unfortunately, that just really killed the show for me. So, this show was a solid B going into it. Not anymore. Not after this garbage. Not after you pretty much proven that none of your people on NXT are worth jack. So, yeah, you're downgraded to a D. You suck. God, I hope they change this soon. Because NXT was starting to tick up for a lot of people, and now it's, completely a fart now. Ugh. Just ticks me off. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is going up on Sunday. Right now, the kickoff show for WrestleMania has not started yet, so hopefully I can get this at least transferred over to the computer. I don't know if I can entirely get this edited, but maybe. I mean, it's about an hour away from the kickoff show. I'm not sure because Peacock has been really wonky with the time for some reason. Because they said that the NXT kickoff show was supposed to start at 10 a.m. My time. It did not. It started at 11. They're saying, WrestleMania, the show proper is starting at 7 o'clock. But yeah, I'm assuming we're getting possibly a 2-hour kickoff show. I'm not sure because, again, I'm getting 15 different timings for this thing. So I'm going to say I'm going to at least get this, obviously it should be shot maybe on the computer. Maybe I can get this rendered before the NXT kickoff show, or at least close to it, so that I can render it tonight and then get it up on Sunday morning. And then Monday morning is going to be the full WrestleMania recap, and I'll do both nights in one video. See you all then. Hey guys, remember to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions, where you can help me expand my wrestling coverage to stuff beyond WWE, NXT, and the occasional AEW free show.